Good morning and welcome. My name is Mary Loris Hemlock, and together with Ann Archibald, we are honored to be the celebrants today as we gather to both remember and celebrate the life of Ellie Slette. On behalf of Patty and all who have loved Ellie, thank you. Thank you for coming, for being part of this circle of love and support. We welcome family and friends from near and far, and from many parts of her life. We welcome family who are friends and friends who are family. All are welcome in this space. In our time together today, we will renew our connection with Ellie through words and music and the sharing of stories. Patty and Doreen prepared a program. I think many of you have that. I see it in many hands. It will guide us through our time together. You'll find the words for the readings and the songs. Please sing along and fill this beautiful room with music. Following several prepared reflections, we'll have time for an open mic. So if you'd like to share a memory or a story aloud, there will be time for that. There is a novel that has become a partial inspiration for this time together. It was written by Chris Radish and is titled Annie Freeman's Fabulous Traveling Funeral. As we begin our time together, I invite you to slow your breath and be aware of what brought you here today. Breathe in Ellie's presence and imagine this excerpt from the novel being spoken by Ellie. It is an important thing to concentrate on the living, to honor every day and every person in some interesting way, because that's what you had, just that one moment. It's important to honor a life the way it was lived, the potential it had to grow and change. Saluting someone after they die can be done in a way that allows us to grieve and to celebrate. Today we make space for all of the emotions we may be feeling. We welcome tears and laughter, regrets and gratitudes, and together we honor Ellie's life. I'd like to invite forward Julie, who will read our first reading for us.
This is The River That Cannot Go Back by Khalil Gibran. It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled from the peaks of the mountains, the long winding road crossing forests and villages. And in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean because only then will fear disappear. Because that's where the river will know it's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean.
Thank you.
Ellie's last home was located on Dakota land, as many of our homes in this area are, as we are right now. Her particular bit of land was also the sacred ground of the confluence of the Minnesota and Mississippi rivers. It is called Bedote by the Dakota people and means where two waters come together. So we join these two waters now. The view from Ellie's window and patio connected her with the confluence, as well as ancient hopes for peace and oneness with creatures of creation. With joy, she watched human activities on the water and enjoyed seeing the eagles flying overhead. We pause to bless some of her cremated remains with the water that blessed her final years. I say some of her remains because Ellie will be having a traveling funeral, so to speak. Some of her cremated remains were buried earlier this month, and I know some of you were there, in the family plot in Viroqua, Wisconsin. It was a snowy day. Other places that brought Ellie joy were Sedona and Crosby, Minnesota. Some of her cremated remains will be spread where the two rivers come together. She will flow into the river and down to the ocean. She will not disappear into the ocean, but as the poet stated, and Judy read, she will become the ocean. So with water from the Mississippi and Minnesota rivers, we bless the earthly remains of Ellie. We bless these remains and we ask you, holy waters, open our hearts to the presence of Ellie's unique life. We gather in sadness at the absence of her at the sorrow because she is physically absent from us. We gather in gratitude for the times we shared together and for the positive energy Ellie brought to the world. Spirit of love, be with us today in comfort and peace. May it be so. Please feel free, in your program are the words to the song, so please feel free to sing or come along. It's a beautiful song, Down to the River to Pray.
As I went down to the river to pray, studying upon that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown, good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down, come on, brothers, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown, good Lord, show me the way. Oh, people, let's go down, come on people, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown, good Lord, show me the way. Our next reading will be read by Chris Wilson, and we're ready for that now. Thank you.
Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die.
In your program, you can find many of the facts of Ellie's life. You can see that she was born on July 14th, 1941. She grew up with her 3 sisters, and Aggie is here to tell us about some of those early days. She was a nurse, an educator, a traveler, a mentor, a friend. On November 29th, 2022, Ellie died. These are the barest facts of her existence. What we need are the stories to fill out the circle of her utterly unique life. We'll hear first from 4 people who knew Ellie from various perspectives. They have each prepared some thoughts and memories. Then we'll open the mic to hear from you and those who may have a story to share. We ask that you keep your comments fairly brief so we have time for as many as possible. Of course, there will be more time to share stories with one another.
We'll leave the microphone on if people want it while we eat.
Oh, the microphone will remain on while we eat.
If you want to.
Okay, so we can share stories while food is shared.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. After we collect in this room, then Patty will close off those with her reflections. So as we hear these stories of Ellie, may we be inspired anew, and may our thoughts, words, and deeds be ones that would bring a smile to Ellie's face. To help us get to know a little bit more about what Ellie's early years were like, we are delighted to invite Aggie, Ellie's sister, forward to start off the sharing. Aggie? There's your text right there. Bring this down just a little bit. Try that.
Ellie and her 2 sisters grew up on a farm near La Crosse, Wisconsin. Her parents had milk cows, chickens, and pigs. The main crop was tobacco. They also raised some strawberries, raspberries, and always had a vegetable garden. Sometimes we'd go in the woods and we'd find acorn nuts, and we picked wild blackberries. Ellie and her sisters were baptized and confirmed at Zion Lutheran Church, where we attended church services every Sunday. And we sang in a junior choir for a while. Our mom sewed white gowns with red ribbons for us to wear in that choir. We went to Bible and 4-H camps. And in 1962, our parents hosted a 4-H foreign exchange student from Israel, who was about the same age as our oldest sister, Annette. All 4 of us girls took sewing in 4-H. And one time, our sister Ellie got chosen with her brown wool dress to model it at the Milwaukee State Fair. That was quite an honor. I know I was kind of envious. We lived about 10 miles from the Mississippi River, so we'd go fishing there, and sometimes it's streams in the area. Our dad had a boat, but sometimes we fished from shore. One summer, Dad and a neighbor took us water skiing on the Mississippi River. And I remember how brave Ellie was. She could hold the skis together and get up much easier than I could. There was a pond on our farm too, and sometimes in the wintertime when it was frozen, we'd clear the snow off and go ice skating. We also had some old wooden skis with straps that we practiced skiing around the farm or down hills. And Eleanor was always good, and I tried to keep up with her. But of course I couldn't. She always encouraged me though to try things, so. Anyway, now I lost my spot here. One time Dad made stilts for us to learn how to balance and to walk with. And Eleanor seemed to master all of these activities with ease. She was interested in sports, and we went to Milwaukee to see the Milwaukee Braves baseball team play a few times. And Ellie, of course, she tried to force me to learn the names of all the baseball players and what position they played. She said, you can't go unless you do that. She played basketball on a girls' team for a while when she was in high school, but her dad wasn't much in favor of that after-school activities. And we had one bike for 4 girls. So one time, there was a steep hill going down to the farm building, and it was a gravel road. Anyway, Eleanor wanted to give our youngest sister, Mary Jane, a ride, so she did, but they tipped over, and Eleanor had to go to the doctor with a bad finger, but Mary wasn't hurt, so that was good. And when we went to grade school, it was a one-room with 8th grades and no kindergarten. And we would walk home about 2 miles many days. Sometimes our dad would feel sorry for us, probably. She seemed to work harder outside than the rest of us. And when Mom and Dad bought the farm, people called it Starvation Point because the land was hilly with some woods and very little plowable land. So Dad hired a bulldozer to clear more land and make a second hill road down into the valley so more crops could be planted. One day, Dad told Ellie to drive the tractor with the disc down the hill road to get a field ready for planting. As she was disking the field, the disc broke. So Ellie figured out a way to fix the disc and finish disking the field. That's how smart she was. Mom wanted me to know that. Anyway, Mom told me that again after Dad died, because Eleanor was really smart and she usually had all A's on her report cards. We were expected to work hard on the farm, especially when we did the tobacco harvesting, because it was a lot of handwork. After the tobacco was speared onto a lat, which held about 6 or 7 tobacco plants, it had to be hung up in the tobacco shed to cure. The men were usually the ones who would balance on the poles and hang the tobacco. But of course, again, Ellie was strong and brave, and she wanted to do some of that too. So she didn't fall that I know of. I'd like to end with some Lutheran thoughts taken from a devotional book called Faith Alone by James Calvin. It says that we should strive to live in harmony with each other in spite of our differences. We should all be of one heart, one spirit, and one mind. What seems right and good to one person should be regarded with consideration by others. If God made all of us, we should let Him be the judge. Ellie kept telling me that I shouldn't expect everyone to be like me. Our oldest sister, Annette, who died when she was 54, said, faith is more important than works. But I say, we can't have one without the other. And I thank everybody for coming today and supporting us.
I'd like to invite Paula forward to tell of another part of Ellie's beautiful life.
Good morning. As a former faculty member at Century Community College in White Bear Lake and a longtime friend of Ellie's, I would like to share a few words about my mentor and friend. In the spring of 1992, a good friend of mine who taught nursing at Inver Hills Community College asked me to substitute for her pediatric clinical rotation that semester. At that time, the RN Nursing Associate Degree Program at Century and Inver Hills were one, sharing faculty and identical curriculum. At the time, I was a staff nurse in the Peds ICU at Minneapolis Children's Hospital, but also had a degree in education. I was excited to give nursing education a try and had a wonderful spring experience at the Ridges in Burnsville with their students. A pediatric faculty position became available at Century starting that fall of 1992. Ellie, who was the Dean of Nursing at Century, contacted me, and I soon began my career as a nurse educator under her direction and mentorship. In meeting Ellie for the first time, I was so impressed with her warmth, commitment to nursing, and enthusiasm. It was an easy yes to accept this faculty position. What I want to focus on for a few minutes is the love, compassion, and determination of this woman in regards to students of color. Ellie, in her practical manner, looked at the diverse communities in St. Paul and realized very clearly that the racial and ethnic composition of our nursing graduates did not match the community in which they served. She applied for and received a grant to recruit and retain students of color into our associate degree program. I was fortunate that she chose me and my colleague Lee Zurek at Inver Hills to direct this 2-year grant. It was Ellie's great desire to reach into the community through various organizations and word of mouth to encourage minority students to consider nursing as a career. She mentored us as she shared her ideas and connections with minority communities. Within the college, she realized that support systems needed to be in place to counsel, encourage, and provide the resources that students would need to be successful. Within the faculty, she shared the many ways we could meet the needs of students who were once admitted to the program to assure their continued success through to graduation. It was such a fulfilling project for all involved, and it was Ellie's foresight, mentorship, commitment, and pure love that made the outcome of the grant such a success. I don't have the final report that we wrote some 27 years ago, but I do remember that the number of minority students in our program increased substantially, and we graduated nurses who began to meet the needs of the diverse populations in which they found themselves as registered nurses. Ellie's advocacy for minority causes continued throughout her life. It was because of her that I became certified as a transcultural nurse and taught cultural diversity and competence to my students at Century and at Gustavus Adolphus College, where I spent the rest of my nursing education career. Ellie and I stayed informally connected over the ensuing years, but in the last few years of her life, she encountered a nurse at the oncology clinic with whom she struck up a conversation, which was so very like Ellie. That nurse, Carla, was a former student of mine at Gustavus. That encounter instigated an email from Ellie to me, and our friendship was refreshed. I am so grateful for the visits, walks, and conversations we enjoyed these past several years, and I was honored to be able to visit her during her last hospitalization. Cheerful to the end, we parted with the expectation I would return in a couple of days. She had other plans and left this world sooner than anyone would have liked. Ellie is figuratively and in reality a saint, a lovely woman, a dear and precious friend. God bless her memory.
Now I'd like to invite Julie forward, a friend of hers from the Crosby era.
Julie Whitney.
Oh, Jean, okay. I have a Julie and a Jean. We'll take Jean.
A lot of J's. Hi, everybody. So glad to be here with you all. Yeah. What you said.
Yeah. I prepared for my own part. So
Okay. I'm a longtime friend of
Just
Ellie.
take this
I
up.
met Ellie in 1999 when she got together with Karen and joined a group of my longtime friends who celebrated holidays and spent time at the cabin together. And we called ourselves the Crones of Crystal Lake. And Ellie fit right in with that group. Even after I moved to Nevada that year, we stayed connected. I stayed connected to my Minnesota Crone friends, and we continued our holidays and holiday celebrations and summer times at the lake. And then I moved back to St. Paul in 2014, and Ellie moved back to St. Paul a few years later and found that Confluence condo. And I think that that was such a significant time in her life, and it turns out that it represents, at least to me, the confluence that Ellie was between family, friends, states, everything. She spent a lot of time with me. I lived right across the river. We were neighbors in St. Paul. And she became a frequent flyer at my weekly dinners with my son and grandson, and we spent holidays together. And so a lot of time in the last years of her life, I spent time with her. And then over the years, many of my friends from Nevada and all of my friends in Minnesota, some of my friends in other states got to know Ellie. So as I was preparing for today, I thought, I'm gonna just reach out and see what people say. Starting with my grandson, who's now 14, and the oldest people that I contacted are more like, you know, gray hair, my age kind of people. And what I was struck by is how no matter who was saying it, no matter what generation, the comments were the same. She was incredibly easy to talk to, never pushed advice on you, but listened with an open mind and heart. She was always reassuring, always made everyone feel welcomed and valued. She had infinite patience and always stayed calm. She loved to talk about her career, just like Paula was talking about her career. One of my friends said spending time with her was like being rubbed with a healing balm. She was smart and engaging, loved sports and puzzles and games. She was easygoing, kind-hearted, soft-spoken, and a deep-thinking soul. And my grandson said she would always help me with hard puzzles and play games with us, and sometimes she even let me win. So I want to share a story that I'll always remember. It was when Ellie had her first surgery, and I went to visit her, and she had been moved to the, I don't know what you call it, cardiac unit, because she had gotten the pacemaker after she had her surgery. And when I got there, we were chatting and playing a game probably, and this doctor came, and he was the doctor who had implanted, or whatever you do with pacemakers, put it in. And she had told me that while she was in the oncology unit, they were having trouble regulating her, or her heart rate wasn't regular, so they were giving her medication. And she suggested that perhaps they could just put a pacemaker in and give her a 2-for-1 surgery while she was at the hospital. So when this doctor came in to check up on her afterwards, she welcomed him into the room and said, well, I'm so glad that the nurses told you about my suggestion, because I feel better already. And then she started asking him questions. Whatever made you go into this field? And, you know, she got him talking, and I thought, you know, doctors pay attention to their time, and they don't just sit and chat with patients, at least not in my experience. But she had him telling her about all the things that had changed in his practice, that he, when he first started, pacemakers were the size of a hockey puck, and the one he put in her was the size of the eraser on the tip of a #2 pencil. And so she, I'm sitting there watching her. She's recovering from all this stuff, and I'm just in awe. So that's how I remember Ellie. And then there was one other experience, and Patty and Doreen were involved in this one. My friend Anna and I had started, we would go to movies with Ellie like once a week, and we loved going to Southdale because there was a Macy's there, and then we could go for dinner and have popovers at that, what used to be Dayton's, but Macy's, I guess. And so we would do that like once a week, go to the old people's matinee and get dinner afterwards. So we were there one day, and Ellie remembered that Patty and Doreen were coming over to bring her something or pick up something, and we had to get home. So we rushed home, and we were still there when Patty and Doreen arrived. And they had just gotten back from a sailing trip, and Ellie had been telling us about it at lunch, and that they had taken up sailing and learned, and they were really enjoying it, and that they had been invited to go on this sailing trip. So then they started talking to us about it when they got there. And one of the people that they were sailing with that latest trip was a British guy who had invited them to be on the crew. And they said his name was Pete, and I was just having this moment of, Pete, I know a guy named Pete who likes to sail. And so then we continued the conversation, and it turned out the Pete that they were sailing with was the Pete that was my husband's good friend, and was there and helped when my husband was building Ellie and Karen's house up in Crosby, and it was like this confluence experience in the condo, and I was like, oh my gosh, and Ellie was amazed by it. She thought it was just so fantastic, and when I talked to her after that, it was like months before she wouldn't say, can you believe it? that really happened. So I want to end with a quote that I like from Eleanor Roosevelt, who said, many people will walk in and out of your life, but only true friends will leave footprints in your heart. And that's what Ellie did. Thanks.
Thank you, Jean. I'm sure these stories have stirred other stories. Perhaps you even came in with a story that was on your heart. So now it's your turn. Now we have a little time here. The mic doesn't travel too far, so it'd be great if you could come forward. Not only will people be able to see you, but you'll be able to use the mic and we can all hear you. So who would like to tell just a snippet? We're capturing Ellie's life as a quilt. We're putting all kinds of pieces together. So who has either a comment on something that's already been said or a new? Come on forward, please. Thank you.
Well, I feel it would be very remiss if we did not talk about holistic nursing. So I got to know Karen and Ellie after they took a trip to Sedona, and they both came to me for body work. I'm both a social worker and a body worker, and of course we got to all be friends. And Ellie took some of my classes. She was always just deeply interested in everything about it, and I was supportive during Ellie's first cancer journey. Then Karen and Ellie were supportive of me during my cancer journey, and I had so many wonderful times being mothered by Ellie and Karen up in the Crosby area. We had so many passionate conversations about holistic nursing, about holistic health over coffee. And Jean, I heard all about you, so I'm so excited to actually get to meet you. And how excited Ellie was when there was a coffee shop for us to go to. So we spent a lot of time at the coffee shop talking about holistic nursing. So.
Thank you. Who else has a tale to tell? There will be more time, of course, but if there's something just stirring in you that you would like to share, we'd love to hear it. There we go, thank you.
My name's Chris Wilson, and I was privileged to be able to spend a lot of time with Ellie in her last few years. Well, just a quick story about how Ellie was able to connect with people. I have a great-granddaughter who at the time was 9, and I was taking care of her a lot during the summer after Ellie's first surgery, I believe it was. And one day Jaden looked at me, and Ellie would come over a fair amount of time and engage with Jaden. One day Jaden looked at me and said, "Can Ellie come over and play?" Yeah, she could and did. So that was just my quick little memory of how she connected with people.
Ellie and I live close to where our house was, and one of the things about Ellie is she always loved where she lived, and she had a great passion for it. And she was extremely excited when she got her condo, and was very happy there, and loved having the river particularly. And I went to visit Ellie at her place. Well, she gave me directions there, only I couldn't find it, and I got lost, and I kept getting lost, and I kept repeating it, and calling Ellie every 5 minutes and saying, where was I supposed to turn? And finally, I had gone into this one place, and I don't remember the name of the condos, but I called her up and told her where I was. And I, gave her the name, and she said, well, I don't know what the name of my condo is. So I went driving around again, and then finally I went back to Ellie said, I will come out, and I'll go up toward the road, so maybe you can see me. Well, guess where Ellie lived? In the same place I had gone. I had a great visit with her. We kept in contact mostly by phone. Ellie did travel up to our place every once in a while and spend the night. And we were so grateful to see her. We talked to her just before she passed, and I'm glad we did that. One of the things that Ellie always talked about were the people that were providing care to her while she was sick. I remember Jean and Chris and Patty particularly, that were all there to give her the care she needed, and she loved them all very much and appreciated it. Thank you.
Actually, I was born with a megaphone voice, so if I don't need it. But I am Patty's aunt, and I think there's a piece missing that is really important to me, is how Patty became part of Eleanor's family with Emily, and Emily is my dearest friend. We've known Ellie for a long time, but Emily is also my sister-in-law, was married to my husband. How we got Patty. And Emily and Eleanor lived together for many years, and was great family, came to many events, and she enjoyed talking to Patty's grandpa, Orville Henry Svensson, and he enjoyed, I think the most important part was how well we could keep our family together, even though there were issues between Dale, Patty's dad, and our family. But it it's very important, the strength that was added by Ellie. She made sure that Orville always was communicating with all of us. She, her and Emily were a ton of fun, and that's when Lois came into the picture because of the dogs. Everybody.
Tell them my story.
Oh, and don't forget my sister Kathy had dogs too. All right, but it's the middle part, and we really want you guys to know that that middle part was extremely important. All right.
And keep sharing those stories and saying how you are connected in this great big circle. Patty, are you ready to
I
think?
can't be.
Okay, let's try it. Patty's going to close off this edge of it for us.
I'm not shy. I too am related to the lady with the megaphone voice, but I will take advantage of the microphone here this afternoon, or almost this morning. So, my name is Patty Svensson. I'll tell you who I am here in just a minute. So good morning. Thank you so much for being here. I've read this line many years ago, and it has stuck with me ever since. We are all here to walk each other home. This is where I write down breathe. Okay, so Ellie walked into my life when I was learning to run. She met my mom when they both worked at Fairview Hospital in Minneapolis. My mom was the head nurse of the OR, and Ellie was the head nurse of the orthopedic med-surg unit. You'll see the job posting that Ellie still had in the photo show. She still had the photo, or the ads, the classified ads for the job posting. Ellie was a friend of my family and would visit us on our farm just east of St. Paul. She enjoyed helping with the gardening and the animals. When my mom and I left my dad, we shared a house with Ellie. As a young kid, I remember us playing tennis, golfing, and skiing. We had season tickets to the Minnesota Twins and sat a few rows up from the first base. Eating bags of shell-on peanuts and helmet sundaes were a treat. In my early teen years, we hit the road in our Ford Econoline van, pop-up camper, and Lhasa Apsos, and to attend dog shows around the upper Midwest. Most weekends, we would be driving from Lake Elmo to Kansas, or to Nebraska, Wisconsin, or Iowa. We had many great successes. My mom made sure that I had to mention that I was a nationally ranked junior handler at the time. And we even won a Best in Show. That was December 12th, 1982 in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. Reconnecting later in my life, I remember meeting up with Ellie and Karen in various state parks. Spending time in Crosby was relaxing. We'd go for long walks, watch birds, play games, and have good food and conversation. Ellie moved back to the Twin Cities in 2019 to a condo overlooking the confluence of the Mississippi and Minnesota rivers. Doreen and I would drop by to help with a project, or maybe it would be dinner or play a game of Rummikub. There was always a puzzle to put together, and we would talk about how good the Twins were playing early on in the season, or how bad the Twins were playing at the end of the season. We would talk about the evolution of electric cars and lithium batteries, the ups and downs of the stock market, and our traveling adventures. I just need to say my portfolio is a mess because we're not having these conversations. But her conversations would start out, what can I tell you about my day? Well, I walked 2 miles today, outside when the weather was good, from the Red Bench to the Holiday gas station, or inside if it wasn't. Her hallway was exactly 1/10 of a mile. I talked to my neighbors today, she'd say. I love where I live. I love the people. The day was even better if she got to pet a dog while out for a walk. We would hear about all the activities on the river, the paddle boats, the people fishing, how high or how low the water was, and the eagles, all the eagles. We are all here to walk each other home. The fall of 2019, Ellie had surgery to remove colon cancer, which followed with a pacemaker, radiation, chemotherapy, a reoccurrence of breast cancer and colon cancer, biopsies, another surgery, and then ongoing chemotherapy to keep the colon cancer in check. She was always present as patient Ellie and nurse Ellie. I attended many of her medical appointments: oncologist, cardiologist, physical and cognitive therapies, general practitioners, and palliative care. You would have thought the appointments were about the caregiver and not Ellie. She was in her element, encouraged people doing intakes to advance their career and become nurses. She offered to write more letters of recommendation for each person we met, and especially people from underrepresented populations. She was a lifelong teacher, a lifelong learner, a lifelong mentor. Even as her health began to falter, her spirit remained bright. When she was in the hospital with pneumonia during her final days, she commented how she was going to now teach people how to die. We are all here to walk each other home. I want to thank her care team and friends, people who reached out to say hello, Open Arms of Minnesota for preparing and delivering meals to Ellie. A huge amount of gratitude goes to Chris Wilson. Thank you so much for all that you did for Ellie. Aggie, thank you so much for all that you did for Ellie. You were there for her and gave her the constant companionship she asked for near the end of her life. Thank you to everybody who walked with Ellie. You all meant so much to her and is the reason why we're here today to celebrate Ellie's life. Ellie would now say, "Go celebrate your own life and do it now."
We now have the gift of a beautiful poem written by Sharon and read by the poet.
Little poem for Ellie. When we got, Jean kind of clued me into to Patty's message that she sent out the morning that Ellie had died at 11:11 a.m. I just thought that was the perfect time. Loving life in view of a sacred site, the confluence of the Mississippi and Minnesota rivers, as somebody have mentioned already. Persistently pointed in a positive direction, eyes wide open, with a farm girl's practicality and a wise woman's wider probing, a gambler's willingness to take a risk, and a nurse's knowledge of how things work in the real world, always leaving room for the unexplainable. Through setbacks and rallies, cancer, heart disease, cancer again. The docs can take care of the body. I'll take care of the mind and spirit, she said. Setbacks and rallies, finally pneumonia. November 27th, 2022, tucked in, hooked up to fluids, antibiotics, oxygen, eyes calm and knowing. She raised her right hand and waved to us by way of Patty's camera. Waved to us. Hail and farewell. Thank you.
Perhaps you can also see out this window. I have kind of the proverbial bird's eye view, and there has been an eagle. All of this time. So we need to sing, right? Some bright morning when this life is over, I'll fly away to that home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, bye bye. quit singing.
Practicing gratefulness in our lives helps us nurture and deepen our interconnectedness to all that is. As we celebrate and remember Ellie's life, we invite you to join together in a litany of gratitudes. Gratitude for many gifts she shared with this community gathered right here in this space. She shared those gifts with the world. You'll hear the sound of the singing bowl ring out to give some time between each reflection. And Patty and Doreen are going to read these gratitudes for us.
In gratitude for all who tend and love the earth, from hardworking farm families to all who cherish and enjoy the beauty of our national parks.
In gratitude for nurses and all healers of the body, mind, and spirit who tend us in our times of sickness and promote health.
In gratitude for all who love their animal companions who share their homes and wild animals in their natural environment.
In gratitude for those who love to cook and those who enjoy the beautiful and wonderful food they make.
In gratitude for all those who enjoy physical activities such as walking, biking, golfing, or skiing, and those who like to watch the Twins play baseball.
In gratitude for volunteers who care for others and advocate for strengthening our democracy through political activism.
In gratitude for observers of our economy who embrace bull markets, knowing when to buy low, sell high, and offer trustworthy stock advice.
In gratitude for playful spirits who enjoy a good game of Rumi Cube, a 1,000-piece puzzle, and an engaging conversation.
In gratitude for adventurous travelers who find common ground with people in different places.
In gratitude for lifelong learners who inspire us to be our best selves and passionate educators who give us the knowledge to feed ourselves for a lifetime.
In gratitude for the earthly life of Ellie Slette, daughter, sister, aunt, partner, friend, colleague, teacher, mentor.
Let's join together in a prayer of forgiveness. It is a prayer of community, and it is commonly shared prayer in many Christian traditions. There are as well many translations of this familiar prayer known as the Lord's Prayer. The words that we will use today together can be found in your program. So I'd invite you to join in this if you are willing and able. Our loving God in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. Do not let us fall into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen. All right, Patty. more time for the police. Some thank yous and directives, anything that we need to know? Thank you.
The business part of this meeting, here we go. So after this, obviously, we have a song and that kind of thing. So again, from the bottom of everybody's heart, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up and being in Ellie's life. This has been a great gathering and celebration. We'll be having brunch here shortly. We appreciate everyone's help as we will transform this space from a seating arena to a dining venue that will look like, maybe grab a chair. We have round tables that will come out and we'll set up, and then put your chair around a table and we'll be able to have some seating. So there's going to be a little bit of minor chaos as we bring it back together. So thank you for your help with that. Today, Sarah, thank you so much. She has disappeared into the kitchen. Sarah's niece is here and has been my co-personal representative through this process. We are having wonderful food that she has made. We have a gluten-free blueberry oatmeal bake, a gluten-free sausage cheese biscuits. We have croissants, cookies, fruit, Ellie's favorite dark chocolate almonds, coffee, lemonade, and water. So again, thank you for the people who cook and for the rest of us who will be enjoying eating it. So we'll make yeah. Thank you, Sarah. So, we know that she's under the vent hood of the oven and it's hard to hear anything, so thank you. Oh, yay! Thank you. The Dodge Nature Center here is a zero waste space, which means we're going to have dishes and flatware and glasses, which are all going to be washed at the end of this. Paper and food waste get composted in the green bin. The blue bins are for recycling. The black bins are for trash. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. If you linger long enough in front of a trash can, I'll come up and talk to you, so we're good. I set up a memorial scholarship for Ellie at Century College for nursing students from underrepresented populations. All memorials will be going to the scholarship for the 2024 school year. If you'd like to help at the end of the day today, cleaning up, putting things away, we would always welcome that, as many hands make light work. We were attempting to go live. I thought I had technical skills, and I thought my phone had technical skills, but it does not. We have recorded this event, so if there's anybody who would like us to airdrop it, Karen, especially, I would like to airdrop it to you so you can share it with Brandon and some other folks, but we were not able to do a live event today. But I will airdrop that to folks that would like it and can do that. Lastly, we have some friends here that will be willing to get your car for you as a valet service. You saw signage, and that wasn't clearly explained that you can drive up here and then we have somebody bring your car back. If you would like somebody to get your car, I do have some friends here that would be very willing to do that. Sue, Kathy, Carol, a lot of willing people to make it easier. It is a bit of a long walk. And lastly, we'll leave the microphone up here. If people would like to share a story over lunch, or please do so at your table. It's a wonderful time to connect with community and share memories. We have this space until after 2 o'clock today. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. This has turned out to be a wonderful event. So thank you. Appreciate it.
So as Patty said, this time together in this way, and this kind of formal gathering time is coming to an end. But we'd like to leave you with another passage from that novel that we talked about in the beginning, Annie Freeman's Fabulous Traveling Funeral. It's worth grabbing it from the library if you haven't read it. I invite you to close your eyes, if that feels comfortable for you, or gaze out at this beautiful greening space out the windows. Maybe you'll spot the eagle. And imagine Ellie's voice once again speaking to all of us. I have tried very hard over the years to let you know how much I love you and how I have treasured your place in my life. I know that death does not erase my memory in your life, and I suspect that you will not be gone from my lingering spirit either. Celebrate, I say. Celebrate life, death, living, and this process of dying that parallels our lives every single moment. Honor me now, and you will honor yourselves. I promise that you will find something that will secure you a place in your grieving, in your other losses, that will set the tone for the days and nights that are lined up and waiting for you. Maybe not so patiently and maybe not so far away. Just pause, my loves. Remember me, and then keep going. So with that spirit, we keep going with Ellie's yes you can, positive energy, her intentional listening, deep questions, and curiosity about the world. And by doing so, her spirit will live on. So let's sing one more song, Song of the Soul. The words are in your program. It's a super fun song.
I don't think I could possibly sing this song sitting down, so if the spirit moves you, you're welcome to stand if you wish, but you're welcome to sing it sitting down too. Open my eyes that I may see glimpses of truth thou hast for me. Open mine eyes, illumine me, Spirit divine. Lord of my life, I am crying, I am not dying, I am dancing, dancing along in the madness. There is no sadness, only a song of the soul, and we'll sing this song. Why don't you sing along, and we can sing for a long, long time. Why don't you sing this song? Why don't you sing along, and we can sing for a long, long time. What do you do for your living? Are you forgiving, giving shelter? Follow your heart, love will find you, truth will unbind you. Sing out a song of the soul, and we'll sing this song. Why don't you sing along, and we can sing for a long, long time. Why don't you sing this song? Why don't you sing along, and we can sing for a long, long time. Come to your life like a warrior, nothing will bore you, you can be happy. Let it go alive, it will heal you, and you can feel you. Sing out the song of the soul, and we'll sing this song. Why don't you sing along, and we can sing for a long, long time. Why don't you sing this song? Why don't you sing along, and we can sing for a long, long time. Good to go.